Hey everyone, today I wanted to review the newest Saw movie, Spiral, that just came out this weekend. I'm gonna do my very best to not give you any spoilers. I'll just be very vague with everything. I don't want to ruin it for anyone, so if you're worried about that, I'm gonna do my very best. The only thing I will say is if I say maybe the gender of Jigsaw, um, that might be the only thing. I was doing the review, I was trying to do the review, and I caught myself a couple times. So I was like, oh crap. So I'll do my best to say the gender, or not say the gender and say like they. So, or the person who was the jigsaw. So, um, leading into this, I'll tell you kind of my brief opinion on the series. It's not one of my favorite horror series. I do like certain movies, and I like the traps in them. And there's certain the storyline for the first three I think is pretty good, and I like them. But I don't love the series. I'm not like a diehard Saw fan. Um, but I did like this one enough that I would probably add it to my collection. I really only bought the full 8 series collection or 8 movie collection just because it's cheaper that way. Um, I probably would say that this movie, well, I will buy it most likely, but it's going to be on a sale. I'm not going to go out probably day one and buy it. So, getting into what I did and didn't like about the movie, my friend and I saw it, and we kind of agreed on what was good about the movie and what was bad. But for him, the bad kind of outweighed the good, so he didn't really like it that much. He thought it was okay at best. Whereas I kind of did really like it, thinking back on it, that there was that the good outweighed the bad, but some of the bad was pretty bad. So I can see why he said he was feeling that way. Um, so I'll start with the good. The cast and the acting is much better than the past few Saw movies. Since Saw 4, the cast has been pretty average to below average at acting. And in this movie, we have Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson as our leads, and it's much better. They play father and son, and they bring a certain humor element that some of the other ones didn't really have, and that was kind of interesting to see that. Chris Rock still brings like what he's known for is humor, and he still plays a serious role along with Samuel L. Jackson. So I thought that was really interesting. The traps in this movie is what everyone was probably interested in, and just how they're going to play that in. And this movie has got some pretty brutal traps that are pretty high up there in my favorites list. Anyone that's a Saw fan pretty much like has a favorite or among favorite traps that they're like, oh, that one's really creative, or I didn't really like that one. This one only has maybe one in it that I was kind of like, that one's not so great, but the first couple especially were like, man, your options there. You're living a pretty poor life after that, or you're dead and you're gonna die in a bad way. So there's one in particular that is like, you're either gonna be having a horrible life or you're going to die in a horrible, painful way. And I don't know which one I would do, but I probably would just end up dying. So that one was my favorite in the movie. I'll probably talk about it whenever I do plan on ranking all these movies later this week, probably by Wednesday. So I'll mention kind of more spoilers in that. I don't want to ruin anything even in the spoiler reviews, but or in the ranking. I'll do my best in that also to avoid the major spoilers. So the new killer's motive is understandable in this one. You get where this person's coming from as them becoming the new Jigsaw, and the atmosphere in this one is very similar to the movie Seven, kind of in a different way. Where Seven, that movie was rainy and it was dreary. Where this one, there's a heat wave going on, but it's very similar in the sense of the city's kind of run down, the crime rate is up, and the I guess poverty is up. So it's a really kind of like dirty, dingy city, and it almost seems like it'd be the same city as in the movie Seven. So those were the things I liked. Now getting into the things that I didn't like, the new voice of Jigsaw was a little odd. It's no longer John Kramer's voice, what we're known at, what he's known for. That I want to play a game type thing. Now it's kind of a robotic, like as if you had like almost like Siri mixed with like a voice changer. It was odd. I didn't particularly like it. It wasn't like horrible. I got over it, but it just wasn't intimidating like, Tobin Bell, who plays John Kramer Jigsaw in the original movies. So that was just a minor gripe. Getting into my biggest one though, the music in this movie. I don't like rap. So regardless of if I did or didn't like rap, I would just say this, that the music does not fit this movie whatsoever. You can't have a Saw movie with just like almost action scenes with rap in them. It just was dumb. I just thought that didn't make any sense. There's a scene that feels completely out of place. That is just all it is just a rap scene or a rap. There's a scene with rap in the background, and it's just I didn't get it. I was like, why is this in here? It doesn't play any part in the movie. It's a robbery scene, and it just really felt out of place. It's very early on in the movie, within the first like 20 minutes. We open with like the a very important scene where like a cop is chasing someone who stole money, and he follows him into the subway, and then he gets put in a trap. And then after that, we see kind of a robbery take place, and it just feels so out of place. It's like an undercover sting where these guys are performing a robbery, and the whole time there's just loud rap music just playing. And it just didn't make any sense to me. It just really felt out of place. And anytime there was something going on, instead of maybe having like, because they did it right sometimes. There was a subtle, the whole like the Saw theme song, that it was like subtle. I would have been fine if they would have just done that. But what they did was, a lot of times they just had rap music, and it just felt completely off. So that was my biggest gripe. One of the things that both my friend and I were saying with this movie, there's some pretty major plot holes that all of them have. That like whole, like there's something in it that all these Saw movies have that you're like, all right, well, that just doesn't make sense. This one is pretty noticeable. There's a certain character that is, I'll just say without giving too much away, they're not who they say they are, and you'd think the people would know that. It's kind of like something that the police department would investigate whenever they're looking into someone, but whatever. I thought that was a little bit strange. And then kind of the ending wasn't bad. It just kind of didn't make sense how it plays out. I'll just say, without, again, it's not going to ruin anything. There's a SWAT team that storms a building, and the new Jigsaw has a situation set up where the person can either, basically, they have one decision to make, and that's what they're stuck with. Well, the decision happens, and the cops come in and focus not at all on the right thing in this situation. Instead of focusing on Jigsaw, they just focus on the trap and the person in the trap, and it's like the way it plays out, I just thought was really dumb. The ending itself wasn't like bad. It's just that ending scene, how it plays out. I was like, that kind of strange. So yeah, those were the things that I didn't like about the movie. But for me, the positives are really good, and there's only one really major negative. So I would say that this movie is worth your time. I'd give it like a B minus. I probably will buy it, but at a sale price. Just to add it to the series. I like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of the series, but there are certain ones that I do like. My friend and I kind of have different opinions on them. He likes Jigsaw. I don't particularly like that one. He likes Saw 4. That's one of my least favorite. He doesn't like Saw 2. That's one of my favorites. So he, like I said, didn't particularly like this one. So for me, it was kind of in the middle, and it's not going to beat out some of my favorites, but I did like it enough to say that, I will probably add it to my collection, just to kind of own it. But I would say, if you can see this movie and you're a really big Saw fan, you've probably already seen it. If you're on the fence about it and you're not the biggest Saw fan, give it a try, because I'd say at like a matinee price, because like my friend he's a really big Saw fan. He's a much more bigger Saw fan than I am, and he was kind of disappointed by it. But me, I was like, I actually enjoyed it because I'm not the biggest Saw fan, but there was things about it that reminded me of the original Saw movies, but overall it kind of felt different, which that's both a positive and a negative. The things that reminded me of the originals, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool, but the way they change it, I'm not a big fan of, so I'm not really sure how he felt about that. But yeah, overall, I mean, I did enjoy it. It's just it's honestly up to the person. I've heard some both positive and negative things from people I work with. Some people really enjoyed it. Some people thought that it wasn't that great. So I'll get into more details whenever I do my ranking of all the movies later this week, probably by Wednesday. I'll get into, I guess some spoilers so you can kind of know more of how I feel. I was trying to be very vague without giving too much away here. So appreciate all those who watch this. Keep an eye out for that ranking video if you're interested, and I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.